afternoon and welcome to Midday Prime. Over the next 1 hour, we'll bring you up to speed with all the latest that is happening in the country and the world. I'm Gautam Roy. We'll get you what is happening, for instance, for all the Indian sports persons in Tokyo at the Olympic Games. It's not been a very encouraging day so far, but there are prospects, later in the day as well. We'll tell you all about them. And we will also let you know about a major political development that has taken place in South India, in Karnataka, to be specific. But first, our big news of the hour. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa resigns. Governor Karil Vijay Dewas accepts his resignation. Yediyurappa turns emotional after resigning. Says he always passed through a litmus test. Proceedings in both houses of parliament stalled due to uproar by opposition. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha see repeated adjournments. Relief and rescue operations continue in the floods and landslide hit parts of Maharashtra. 251 people have been killed in flood-related incidents in the state, whereas almost 2.3 lakh people have been evacuated so far. More relaxations on COVID restrictions in national capital come into effect from today. Delhi Metro is running at full seating capacity. Cinemas and spas have reopened. Unlocking is in progress in other parts of the country as well. Schools partially reopened in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha and Punjab starting today. Today is the 22nd anniversary of Karil Vijay Dewas. The day commemorates the indomitable courage and sacrifice of the Indian Armed Forces during Kargil conflict in 1999. Prime Minister Narendra Modi pays homage to those who lost their lives protecting our nation. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh lays wreath at the National War Memorial. In sports, Indian grapplers bagged 13 medals that include 5 golds in the World Cadet Wrestling Championships at Budapest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulates the Indian contingent for putting up a stellar show. Updates from Tokyo 2020. In table tennis, Sharath Kamal moves into third round with a 4-2 win over Portugal's Tiago Apollonia, while Manika Batra loses to world number 17 Sofia Polkanova by 0-4. In international news, dramatic turn in Tunisian political crisis as President Kais Saied sacks Prime Minister and freezes Parliament. The President warns against any violent response as crowds flood the cities of the cradle of the Arab Spring. All right, first up, the big news of the hour. Well, Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has submitted his resignation to Governor Karil Vijay Dewas in Bengaluru just a short while back. The BJP government led by Yediyurappa in Karnataka completed 2 years today. Before submitting his resignation letter, Yediyurappa made the announcement to resign at the Sadhana Samavesh, which was organized to mark the completion of 2 years of his government. Making an emotional speech during the Sadhana Samavesh, the Chief Minister recalled his journey as part of the BJP, which rose from 2 to 118 when he first became the Chief Minister. This is for the 4th time that Yediyurappa had assumed the seat and has had to resign without completing a full term. He said that bowing to the rule that those above the age of 75 must step down, the Chief Minister said that he has resigned and will work to strengthen the party in the state and make every effort to bring it to power when the assembly elections are announced in the state for 2023. He thanked the PM and other central leaders for allowing him to serve the people for 2 years. Speaking to media persons after the submission of his resignation, Yediyurappa said that the governor has accepted his resignation. He said that he will extend all support to his successor in the state and appeal to his supporters and followers not to make any statement that could create confusion in the state. The 7-time MLA from Shikaripur said that he has resigned voluntarily and the High Command will decide his successor. Now, minutes after announcing his decision to step down as Karnataka Chief Minister, Yediyurappa in a tweet said that and I quote, deeply influenced by Jagajyoti Basavanna philosophy of Kayaka, Dasoha Tattva and the life of Lingayakya Sri Shivkumar Swamiji of Siddhaganga Math, I have dedicated my entire 50 years of public life towards nation building and fulfilling the aspirations of the people of Karnataka. Our tallest leaders, starting from Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Atal ji, Advani ji, Murli Manohar Joshi ji have inspired me to dedicate myself to serve the nation. I have also received immense love and support of Modi ji, Amit Shah ji and Nadda ji. Sarvodaya through Antyodaya has been the guiding philosophy of our party. In the last 50 years, upliftment of poor, oppressed, backward communities, senior citizens, women and children has been my priority, and I dedicated myself to bring positive changes in the lives of people. So after months of speculation, B.S. Yediyurappa today resigned from the post of Chief Minister of Karnataka. The towering Lingayat leader had on Sunday announced that he would take the decision on his future as Karnataka Chief Minister on the 26th of July when his government completes 2 years in the state. Yediyurappa's decision came even as BJP National President J.P. Nadda lauded him for doing a good job in the state of Karnataka. That's how his journey has been. First-time member of Legislative Assembly in July 1983. In 1988, Yediyurappa became president of Karnataka State BJP unit as well. Then he was nominated as BJP's National Vice President on the 16th of August 2014. Assembly constituency, of course, has been Shikaripura, Shivamogga district in Karnataka. That's where he's been contesting elections from. In 1975, Yediyurappa was elected president of town municipality of Shikaripura. And during the 1975 emergency, Yediyurappa was imprisoned for 45 days. In 1980, Yediyurappa was appointed president of the Shikaripura Taluk unit of the BJP. In 1988, he became the state president of the BJP in Karnataka. On the 12th of November 2007, Yediyurappa took oath as Karnataka Chief Minister for the first time. He then headed the first ever BJP-led coalition government in southern India. On the 30th of May 2008, Yediyurappa became the first ever BJP CM in South India. An 8-time MLA from Shikaripura constituency in Shivamogga district, Yediyurappa served as Karnataka CM for, well, this was his 4th term. And he served the state of Karnataka for 2 years in this term. Let me now take you across to Aisha Khanam, my colleague who's been tracking all the developments in Bengaluru. Aisha, what can you tell us about what lies in store for both Karnataka now and for Yediyurappa?
Well, Gautam, B.S. Yediyurappa is now the caretaker Chief Minister of Karnataka. He has submitted the resignation and seems to be a relieved man, and he has reached home to his place. And he has clearly said that he has resigned and there was no pressure on him to resign, and he thanked the leadership. But the fact that Yediyurappa chose this day to announce his resignation is interesting, because it was on 26th July 2019 that Yediyurappa drove to Raj Bhavan and took oath as Chief Minister of Karnataka, and exactly after 2 years on same day, and when he decided to call for a grand celebration of his 2 years governance, then he makes a very emotional speech. Almost he broke down while saying that he has passed through several Agni Pariksha in his life, and he says that he will abide by party's decisions, and he will work as a Karyakarta and build the party in Karnataka. So that was Yediyurappa's very emotional speech when he went to submit his resignation. So now the big challenge for Karnataka is who is the next chief minister of the state, because the BJP has a long list of contenders, able contenders. You know, it's very difficult for BJP to single out one leader, because there are several leaders in the list with prominent faces like Union Minister Prahlad Joshi, then BJP leader C.T. Ravi, BJP General Secretary B.L. Santosh, then one minister Murugesh Nirani, and State Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai. There are so many leaders, the list of so many leaders before the BJP. So the central leadership will have to take a call on who will be the next leader. But the formality will happen in Karnataka, in Bangalore, because now the BJP legislative party meeting has to be called. It is here that the MLAs will have to come together and decide on who will be the leader, who enjoys confidence among all these elected MLAs, and who can take forward the vision and the development oriented governance, and also the blueprint of governance set by the union government, and who can take this vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Karnataka. So the BJP will now have this big challenge of announcing the leader, but the formal procedures will have to be adopted. Very soon the BJP legislative party meeting will be held in Bangalore.
Yes, probably, Aisha, there will be a central observer being sent from Delhi as well to observe the proceedings and to gauge the mind and as to who the MLAs favor the most in terms of the various names that you mentioned. That is the normal process that the BJP follows. It does send central observers. But just take us back to what has been happening through the course of these 2 years that Yediyurappa, went through his 4th term, and bring us to why did he have to quit?
Well, Yediyurappa, no doubt, is considered as a tall leader for the BJP and also a mass leader in Karnataka. And when the BJP came to power in Karnataka in 2008 for the first time, it was Yediyurappa who opened the gates for BJP in South India as such. So the BJP does not deny his contributions and does not deny the fact that he is the mass leader. And Yediyurappa has been the chief minister for 4 terms in the state, and he formed a government with Janata Dal as a coalition government also, but he had to resign in different circumstances during that time.
Yes.
But now in his past 2 years, Yediyurappa was though focused on development activities, there was some discontent brewing in the party, and there were several legislative leaders who were not happy with the developments. They alleged that Yediyurappa is promoting his family. They dislike the fact that his son is interfering in administration, and the opposition, taking cue from these internal developments, built a campaign against the government in the state, and also brought out the corruption cases that Yediyurappa is facing. He faced several corruption cases in the past few years, though he was convicted in some land grabbing cases, but still there are cases on him. So the opposition took opportunity of this situation in the BJP, wherein some MLAs were unhappy and they were constantly complaining to the High Command. And the BJP was worried about the fact that the opposition is tarnishing the image of the BJP in the state. Although Yediyurappa has been successful in providing a good administration in the past 2 years, especially during the pandemic time, he took charge. And he
but clearly the message came from the central leadership that his time for the moment is up, although Yediyurappa has sworn that he will serve the interests of the party and ensure that 2 years down the line, when there are elections due in Karnataka, he will try to get the party to win and support the person who replaces him as well, his successor. But let's see what happens next in terms of who that successor will be as well. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Aisha Khanna. All right, now let's bring you to Delhi. Proceedings of both houses of parliament have been stalled due to uproar by the opposition. Amid noisy scenes, while the Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2:45 p.m. on the farmers and Pegasus issues, Rajya Sabha saw repeated adjournments, and now the House has been adjourned till 3 p.m. over the Pegasus issue. And Rajya Sabha MP and Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman has said that there are many important bills that are due to be tabled and passed, discussed and passed in both houses of Parliament, but are not being brought forward due to ruckus and disruption by the opposition.
There are very many important bills, and I hope and wish that the opposition allows the legislative businesses to carry forward.
And Deputy Leader of Rajya Sabha and Union Minister of Minority Affairs Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said that the opposition is not letting Parliament to function and is creating ruckus leading to disruption. He said the government is ready to discuss all issues.
रिप्लाई करेगा, किस समय रिप्लाई करेगा, अगर ये जो है वो स्पीकर साहब और चेयरमैन साहब पर और सरकार पर नहीं छोड़ा जाएगा तो इससे एक बात बहुत साफ हो जाती है कि ये जो है वो पूरे के पूरे मुद्दे पर डिस्कशन से भाग रहे हैं और डिस्ट्रप्शन के साथ खड़े हुए हैं। हमें चाहते हैं हम संसद चले, हम हर मुद्दे पर डिबेट के लिए तैयार हैं, डिस्कशन के लिए तैयार हैं, डिसीजन के लिए तैयार हैं और विपक्ष से हम लोगों की हमेशा अपील रही है कि आप डिबेट पे आइए, डिस्कशन पे आइए, सरकार हर तरह से आपके साथ खड़ी हुई है, जवाब देगी।
All right, let's go across to my colleague Amritpal Singh for more on this. Amrit, the government has laid it out for the opposition. The government is saying that you're the ones who are running every discussion, not us. We are willing to discuss any issue, be it farmers' issue, be it Pegasus. What kind of a forward movement can we see on this, if at all?
Gautam, the logjam doesn't seem to be breaking right now. In fact, the Lok Sabha assembled again at 2 p.m. and has been now adjourned till 2:45 p.m. Just after running for 5 minutes after the bill was, the bankruptcy amendment court bill was, tabled. Now the opposition was raising slogans. This is what we saw in the Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha virtually could not function. It met in the morning at 11, had to be adjourned right away. Though the chairman tried to run the question hour, but to no avail. It was adjourned till 12, then till 2. Now, this is a repeated pattern. Though the Lok Sabha, the question hour went on for about half an hour, 40 minutes. This is the first day of the second week of the monsoon session. And if you ask the opposition MPs, they say, the government is bulldozing, it doesn't want to listen to us unless they withdraw the farm laws. They are unjust laws on the Pegasus snooping. They have their own viewpoint. They're not convinced by the arguments given by the government. The government on its part is saying, well, we are ready to discuss every issue, but there has to be a structured debate. Let the House function. We will reply, listen to our reply. But, there seems to be no middle path right now, and the stance that the opposition is taking is that they want to bring the government, embarrass the government on the floor of the House, saying that, you are bulldozing it and will not let it happen. One doesn't see any difference in the stance of the opposition. One sees a repeat of what was playing out the last week as well.
But are we going to be seeing any sort of a first move to come to some sort of a way forward by either of the sides or by either of the presiding officers of the two houses?
The government is trying to convey to the floor leaders. The government in the all-party meeting told them that, look, whatever the issues are, we are ready to do that. When the opposition came, they brought in the issue of COVID, saying that the management of COVID, especially during the second wave, we want to, take the government on that. The government must answer. And there did happen a 4-hour-long debate on that.
Yes.
But that was on COVID-19. But on other issues like Pegasus snooping, the government gave its own reply. The opposition doesn't seem to be convinced about it. They say that no, we will not let the House function unless you come clean on this. On the farmers' issues, the opposition today, Rahul Gandhi came on a tractor in a symbolic way, saying that I represent the farmers and the tractor represents the farmers, and I've come here to bring their grievance to the parliament. So, they're saying that scrap it and only then we'll talk. these are unjust laws and things like that. So right now one doesn't see much middle ground between the two sides. So the government is trying to reach out. Today the Rajya Sabha chairman berated the members of Rajya Sabha, saying that you have not allowed 90 members to raise their questions on very important issues and pressing issues. But these are what the presiding officers are saying. The government saying we are trying to convey and reach out to them. But all that is happening once they come out and the house is adjourned and they come out and speak to reporters inside. It's uproar and disruptions, and even while the ministers today, including Nirmala Sitharaman or Hardeep Singh Puri, etc., were replying on their questions in the question hour, we continuously saw uproar in the parliament by the opposition.
Well, one can only hope that something gets worked out so that legislative business and issues of importance can be also taken up in the House in the manner that they are supposed to be, not just in terms of making all kinds of grand gestures and a lot of din. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Amritpal. Well, let's now tell you what happened with regard to Karil Vijay Dewas. It's a day that we all hold very dearly and are filled with pride whenever it comes around. Well, in Karil Vijay Dewas today, President Ramnath Kovind could not travel to Dras due to bad weather. So the President instead laid a wreath at the Dagger War Memorial, Baramulla in Jammu and Kashmir. He paid tributes to all the soldiers who sacrificed their lives in defending the nation in the 1999 Kargil War. And in his message at the War Memorial, the President wrote, and I quote, "The nation salutes the soldiers and officers of the 19th Infantry Division who've been safeguarding our borders in the most hostile terrains under adverse weather conditions as our frontline troops. They've scripted exceptional stories of indomitable courage, bravery and sacrifice. This Dagger War Memorial evokes profound respect for the brave fighters who laid down their lives for the safety and security of our country. I'm sure that this memorial will educate the people of India about the highest values of the Indian Army and inspire them. Jai Hind." And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu saluted the heroes of the Kargil War today and paid homage to the martyrs for their supreme sacrifice as well. In a tweet, the Vice President said he joins the nation in remembering Indian Armed Forces' saga of valor and gallantry. He said the nation will remain forever grateful to them and their families. Prime Minister Modi also remembered the sacrifice, valor of the soldiers of the 1999 Kargil War. In a tweet, the PM said, and I quote, "We remember their sacrifices, we remember their valor. Today on Karil Vijay Dewas, we pay homage to all those who lost their lives in Kargil protecting our nation. Their bravery motivates us every single day." And Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in fact bowed to the indomitable valor and sacrifice of the Indian Army on the occasion of Karil Vijay Dewas. The Defence Minister paid homage to all the martyrs at the National War Memorial in Delhi. Earlier, he sent a message through his official Twitter handle that the victory achieved by the Indian Army in Kargil in spite of difficult and unfavourable conditions is incomparable. The Defence Minister also signed the visitors' book at the National War Memorial. Minister of State for Defence Ajay Bhatt also paid tribute at the National War Memorial. And again on Karil Vijay Dewas, 3 service chiefs, Army Chief General M.M. Naramane, Air Force Chief Air Marshal Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria, Navy Vice Chief Vice Admiral G. Ashok Kumar, all 3 of them paid tributes to the martyrs at National War Memorial in Delhi. And Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, Ladakh Lieutenant Governor R.K. Mathur and Ladakh MP Jamgyal Sering Namgyal paid floral tributes at the Kargil War Memorial in Dras to mark the 22nd anniversary of Karil Vijay Dewas. General Rawat also installed a victory flame at the memorial. Letters and memories of Kargil War heroes have been carefully compiled and penned by two daughters of Kargil War martyr Major C.B. Dwivedi, Sena Medal. Take a look.
Kargil War has many stories to tell, and I have with me two young writers. Their father was a martyr. She is Neha, and she is a doctor by profession. Neha, you've written a book on the biography of war hero Vijay at Kargil. This is a book that she has written. Now, Neha, apart from being a martyr's daughter and army's kid, where did you learn the art, or was it your father's martyrdom that gave you the inspiration?
To write? Actually now I've come to realize that when I was younger, we lost my father when I was 12 years old, and I remember now how he actually inculcated the habit of reading in me. He was the one who would get us books every time that the train would stop at some station, and he would make sure that I always had books to read. So I guess my love for reading came from him. Thereafter, once we lost him, everyone copes in different ways, and one of the ways in which I coped was I started writing a diary. And initially I used to write Dear Diary, and then I started writing Dear Daddy because I had lost him. So I thought that's my way of communicating with him, and that's when I actually started penning my thoughts down. And I guess you could say that I found solace in writing after his martyrdom, for sure.
I have with me Diksha also, the younger one, and she has letters from Kargil. Diksha, what is this, letters from Kargil?
So Letters from Kargil is a narrative of the Kargil war that happened in 1990.
Neha and Diksha. This is on 16 July 98. I'm fine here and hope the same with you all. I have not received any letters till date from you, but I know it is due to postal strike. Very soon I will get all your letters and you will get mine. You know how I pass time? I pass my time thinking about you. Your days when you were small kids, hardly able to walk or speak, then slowly growing and reaching where you two are today. It is nice to think about it all. Rest in the next letter. With love, your daddy.
With love, your daddy. And her eyes are already wet. You see Diksha, and we spoke to her sister also. So these are the memoirs. So 20 of them, all the letters are here. And these are the proud kids of proud father, and we are all proud of him because he laid down his life for the Kargil war and for the country. With cameraman Mohit, this is Vishal Peristo for DD India.
Still creating moments that really touch the heart. This war that happened 22 years ago. Now, memories of Kargil War have been carefully preserved inside the hut of remembrance at the Kargil War Memorial in Dras. Vishal Peristo takes you down memory lane of bravery, valor and sacrifice of our brave men in uniform.
Inside the hut of remembrance at the Kargil War Memorial, and this is the gallery, the highest decoration of a most conspicuous act of bravery in the presence of the enemy, Paramveer Chakra. All these brave hearts have laid down their lives, and they have been awarded the highest medals for bravery. This is called the War Heroes Gallery. Now I'm taking you to the enemy side, the flag of the enemy captured and displayed because it's the enemy's flag. This is the Pakistan flag that was captured during the war, and these are the arms and ammunition used, and there you see proof of Pakistan's involvement. These were the prisoners of war, evidence of involvement of Pakistan army. The world was surprised to know that India eventually won the battle, won the war, even despite having a disadvantage. The army aviation also played a crucial role along with the Indian Air Force that launched Operation Safed Sagar. In 1 week's training, the operation was launched at the height of more than 32,000 feet. We take you out and let you see the names of all those who laid down their arms here. The sepoys of 13 Kumaon, 9 Mahar, 1st Naga, 2nd Naga, 1 Bihar. So all these people, all these soldiers, man in uniform, they have laid down their lives, and it was the media who also played a crucial role because the battle was covered live, the war was given a live coverage telling the world about the heroics of Indian Army. So let us not forget that the freedom that we enjoy today is only and only because of our armed forces. With cameraman Mohit at Kargil War Memorial, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India.
Much to be grateful for there. Now, on the 22nd anniversary of Karil Vijay Dewas, members of both the houses of Parliament paid tributes to the martyrs of the Kargil War. You can see images of how everybody stood in silence for a while to pay homage and express their gratitude in silence for those who defended the country, making the supreme sacrifice as well. Time now to get you National Prime. Torrential rains in the last few days in the state, that is in Maharashtra, has caused floods in 10 districts including Konkan and western Maharashtra. A total of 251 people have been killed and 107 injured in these incidents so far, while 100 are still missing. In Raigad district, 71 people have been killed and 34 injured, while 53 are missing. In Ratnagiri district, 21 people have been killed and 14 remain missing. In Kolhapur, 7 people have been killed and 1 remains missing. In Satara district, 41 people have been killed and 27 remain unfound. 12 people have been killed and 4 others are still missing in Thane district. 2 died in Sindhudurg district, 4 in Mumbai and 2 in Pune. 34 teams of NDRF, 6 teams of SDRF, 3 teams of Coast Guard, 7 teams of Navy and 3 teams of Indian Army are conducting rescue operations in various parts of the state. 5 temporary shelters have been set up in Chiploon. Water levels started receding in many parts of the flood-affected areas. Now, according to new guidelines, cinemas, theatres, multiplexes and spas in the national capital in Delhi have opened from today. All auditoriums and assembly halls have been permitted to open at 50% seating capacity. Public buses will also be permitted to operate with 100% seating capacity. The cap on the number of guests at marriages and funerals has been raised to 100. This leaves schools, colleges, educational and institutions and coaching institutes under the category of prohibited activities in Delhi. All social, political, sports, entertainment, cultural, religious and festival-related gatherings also remain banned. Now, the general public in the national capital will be able to travel in the Delhi metro with full seating capacity in its coaches. However, standing travel inside the metro remains prohibited according to the revised guidelines. As standing travel is still not permitted by the authorities, entry at stations will also continue to be regulated through identified gates according to the ongoing practice. And with a recurring dip in the number of coronavirus cases each day, the Gujarat government has allowed the reopening of schools for students of classes 9 to 11 starting today with 50% capacity. Students who are willing to attend physical classes will have to submit consent forms from their parents. In Odisha as well, schools have reopened for classes 10 to 12 starting today, although it's not mandatory for students to attend offline classes. During this period, online teaching learning will continue for students. And under the nationwide vaccination drive, India continues to administer jabs to its population to restrict the spread of COVID-19. In the last 24 hours, 18,99,874 doses were administered. Of this, 12,98,918 people received their first dose, while 6,956,000 got their second dose. So far, a total of 43,51,96,001 doses of vaccine have been administered across the country. Now, India has been fighting against the COVID-19 pandemic, and there's been decline in new daily cases of coronavirus in the country. In the last 24 hours, 39,361 new cases were reported. The country's active caseload is currently at 4,11,189. Active cases constitute 1.31% of the total cases. In the last 24 hours, 35,968 patients have recovered from COVID-19 as well. So far, a total of 3,579,106 patients have recovered from the virus across the country. Recovery rate currently stands at 97.35%. Weekly positivity rate remains below 5% and is currently at 2.31%. Daily positivity rate remains below 5% and is now at 3.41%. And it's time now to get you all the updates from different sporting arenas, particularly the Olympics. And for all the Olympic and sports updates, we've got Deepika.
Good afternoon, and right now it's time to bring you all updates from the ongoing Tokyo Olympics along with other sporting events. So starting with wrestling, Indian wrestler Priya Malik on Sunday won gold medal at the World Cadet Wrestling Championship. Malik defeated Ksenia Patapovich by 5-0 to win gold at women's 73 kg weight category. Earlier, she has also won gold medal in 2019 edition of Khelo India in Pune. And in total, India bagged 13 medals, including 5 golds at the World Cadet Wrestling Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also extended his best wishes to the World Cadet Wrestling Champions. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Our sportspersons continue to make us proud. India wins 13 medals, including 5 golds at the World Cadet Championships in Budapest, Hungary. Congratulations to our team and best wishes for their future endeavors," unquote. And I'm joined by senior sports journalist Mr. Malay Nirav. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for joining us in a special sports segment in Midday Prime. My question to you is that India is witnessing new talents who are doing really great at international level. What led to this change and how the government is working towards the betterment of sports?
Well, good afternoon to you and to the viewers. As you all know, this Khelo India was started under the this was given a boost and a fillip by the Prime Minister of this country. He himself was very keen that the sports talents from different parts of the country should get together in a competitive mood, in a healthy competition, and talents could be identified through that. And this is what has happened. Now you have a whole line of young sports persons from different parts of the country competing in different sports. So if you have seen 8 gold medals here in the Cadet World Championships, weightlifting championships in Budapest, and let me tell you one more thing. In the freestyle men's team category, India has won the gold, and it is for the first time in the last 9 editions of this championship. 8 times Russia was the winner, and in 2018 Iran was the winner. So this is the first time India is the winner. So the glorious tradition of wrestling in this country was revived a couple of decades back, not exactly one decade back, and now you see young aspiring wrestlers, both men and women, doing well on the in the international arena. So this is a big flip and big boost to wrestling which has come, and any game in India that has come from Khelo India. And then when school games were organized, Priya again won the gold there. So when you pick up a talent in the childhood and groom the talent to reach that level where you are actually creating a bench strength of athletes for your own country who will take over from the well-established ones like Sakshi Malik and Vinesh Phogat, who is now going to be playing in Olympics and is a very strong medal hope. Then you have Priya Malik standing there waiting for you to enter the arena in a big way. So this is a big, big achievement. It should not be just seen as one of those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Neera, for joining us. Moving on, let's take a look at current updates from Tokyo Olympics. Indian tennis star Sumit Nagal bows out of ongoing Tokyo Olympics after losing the second round match against Daniil Medvedev. Medvedev defeated Nagal by 6-2, 6-1 in the second round to progress further. The match lasted for 1 hour and 6 minutes. Moving on, in table tennis, Manika Batra lost her women's singles third round match against 10th seed Sofia Polkanova of Austria. Batra was no match to her higher ranked opponent today, losing the contest in straight games which lasted just 27 minutes. Earlier in the day, Sharath Kamal moved into third round with 4-2 win over Thiago Apollonia. Next, he will be facing Ma Long of China, the reigning Olympic and defending champion, to fight for a place in pre-quarterfinals. And in fencing, Bhavani Devi makes her debut with a winning start in women's sabre individual table of 64 bout. Bhavani beat Tunisia's Nadia initially by 15-3. However, in her next lineup, Bhavani lost to world number 3 Manon Brunot of France by 7-15 in round of 32. And in the sport of archery, Indian team of Atanu Das, Praveen Jadhav and Tarundeep Rai lost to South Korea by 0-6 in quarterfinal men's team event. Moving on in badminton, world number 10 pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty went down in straight games to world number 1 Indonesian pair Sukomoja and Gideon by 13-21 and 12-21 in their second group match. The Indian duo still holds a chance to qualify for knockouts. Next, they will be up against the British pair. And later in the day today, Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs Anurag Thakur will be meeting Olympic silver medalist Mirabai Chanu. And my colleague Narayan Singh is also joining us with details. Well,
सूचित करते हुए अत्यंत प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि सुश्री साइखोम मीराबाई चानू ने ओलंपिक खेलों में भारोत्तोलन प्रतियोगिता में भारत के लिए रजत पदक जीता है। इन खेलों में देश के लिए ये पहला पदक है। मैं अपनी ओर से तथा सदन की ओर से सुश्री चानू को बधाई देता हूं तथा आशा करता हूं कि अन्य खिलाड़ी भी अपनी अपनी प्रतियोगिता में उत्कृष्ट प्रदर्शन करेंगे और देश का नाम ऊंचा करेंगे।
And this was Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla congratulating weightlifter Mirabai Chanu in the Lok Sabha today for winning Olympic silver medal in the sport of weightlifting. Moving on, Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu also congratulated Mirabai Chanu on winning the Olympics medal.
Mirabai Chanu for winning silver medal in women's 49 kg category weightlifting event in Olympic Games being held in Tokyo, Japan. With her spectacular performance, Mrs. Mirabai Chanu not only opened the medal tally for the country in this Olympics, but also ended a long wait of 21 years for medal in weightlifting event at the Olympics.
And we are moving on to our correspondent Narayan, who has just joined us. Narayan, the Sports Minister Anurag Thakur will be meeting the Olympic silver medalist Mirabai Chanu. What all will be expected?
Definitely, it's a big moment for the whole country. The whole country is waiting for Mirabai. She won India silver medal on the first day, and the first time India won a silver medal in the history of the Olympic Games. So everybody is waiting, and definitely the sports minister must be waiting for him, and must be the whole country is also waiting for him.
Right.
So it will be, we can say that it will be a meeting that everyone is waiting for. And if we talk about the sports minister, he's also motivating players. Before during the send-off ceremony, he told the players that we have expectation from our players, but participating in an event like Olympics
Right.
is a big achievement.
Right. The nation is looking forward to welcome Mirabai Chanu back in India. So, moving on. That's all that we have right now in our sports updates. That's all for now. Over to you, Gautam.
Thank you. Well, now it's time to move on to all the updates that we can get you from around the world as well, and from the world of business, in fact. Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, in a reply to a question in the Lok Sabha, said that payment dues to MSMEs are being given in the stipulated limit of 45 days. She further said that she is monitoring the situation herself, and PSUs and government agencies have been sensitized about the matter.
When we say government dues, they are not just central government dues, they are not just central government public sector undertaking dues, they are also dues from state governments and state-owned public sector undertakings. So as far as the central government, we have taken this position that any pending payment will have to be given within 45 days, and I'm personally monitoring it. However, as regards GST payment, the GST Council is the final authority, and it is they who have to take a call.
And if you look at the markets where the benchmark indices were volatile, trading on either side of flat line in Nool deals on Monday, while defensive stocks from the pharma, IT and FMCG space supported the indices, losses in financials capped gains. The headline S&P BSE Sensex was at 52,961 level, down 15 points, while the broader Nifty 50 held above the 15,850 mark at 15,854, down 2 points. Bajaj Finserv, Hindalco, Divi's Labs, Ultratech Cement, Tata Steel gained in trade between 1 to 3%. JSW Steel, IOC, SBI, Wipro, Reliance were trading in the red. And now let's take a quick look at what's making news across the globe as well. Well, let's first get a look at the COVID-19 numbers that are coming in from across the globe now. The world continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic. So far, more than 19 crore 47 lakh people have tested positive for COVID-19 worldwide. Over 17 crore 67 lakh people have also recovered from the virus. The deadly virus has claimed lives of more than 41 lakh 74,000 people so far. The US continues to be the worst affected country by COVID-19. More than 3.51 crore people have been infected by the coronavirus in the US, while over 6.26 lakh people have died in that country. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced the lifting of certain coronavirus restrictions, including relaxation on inter-provincial travel and larger public gatherings, as the country recorded a dip in new COVID-19 cases. In an address to the nation on Sunday evening, Ramaphosa said South Africa, with immediate effect, will move to level 3 from the current level 4 of the 5-level lockdown strategy. As part of level 3 lockdown, a curfew will remain in place from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. and funeral services will still be restricted to a maximum of 50 people with strict protocols in place. Schools will also reopen nationwide today after a month-long break. The President also announced a stepped-up vaccination campaign to address the pandemic. In Algeria, restrictions have been reimposed on gatherings starting today to restrict the rapid spread of the more infectious Delta variant of the coronavirus. The measures will apply to 35 out of 58 provinces. Gyms, cultural centers, leisure venues, beaches and used car markets will remain closed. Night curfew will be in place from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. local time. All gatherings, including wedding celebrations, will be banned, while cafes and restaurants will be allowed to provide only takeaway services. The North African country has so far reported more than 1,62,000 cases and over 4,000 deaths. Tunisian President Kais Saied sacked the government and froze parliament on Sunday in one of Tunisia's biggest political crises since the 2011 revolution that introduced democracy. The Tunisian president has announced the suspension of the Tunisian parliament and dismissed Prime Minister Hichem Mechichi after violent protests broke out in several Tunisian cities over the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic and the economy. President Kais Saied said his actions were in line with the constitution and also suspended the immunity of members of parliament. Saied said he would assume executive authority with the assistance of a new prime minister. Saied and parliament were both elected in separate popular votes in 2019, while Michichi took office last summer, replacing another short-lived government. Meanwhile, people flooded Tunis on Sunday to celebrate the dismissal of PM and the freezing of parliament. Tens of thousands stayed on the streets of Tunis and other cities, with some people setting off fireworks for hours after Said's announcement as helicopters circled overhead. The United States has said it will continue to carry out airstrikes in support of Afghan forces facing attacks from insurgent Taliban. U.S. Marine General Kenneth McKenzie in a press conference said in Kabul, the U.S. has increased airstrikes in support of Afghan forces over the last several days. McKenzie, who leads U.S. Central Command, which controls U.S. forces for a region that includes Afghanistan, however, declined to say whether the U.S. forces would continue airstrikes after the end of their military mission on the 31st of August.
The United States has increased airstrikes in the support of Afghan forces over the last several days, and we're prepared to continue this heightened level of support in the coming weeks if the Taliban continue their attacks. We continue to provide contract maintenance and logistics support here in Kabul to maintain Afghan defense capabilities, including our aviation capability.
Now, 2 Navy ships loaded with food and medical supplies have been sent to Cuba from Mexico. The ships will leave the port of Veracruz in the Gulf of Mexico today, taking syringes, oxygen tanks and masks along with powdered milk, canned food, cooking oil and gasoline. The Mexican Foreign Ministry in a statement said the shipments exemplify Mexico's policy of international solidarity, and it will keep offering humanitarian aid to help Latin American and Caribbean countries tackle the coronavirus pandemic. Meanwhile, dozens of supporters of the Cuban government gathered outside the United States Embassy in Mexico City on Sunday to call for an end to the U.S. blockade on the island nation. The protesters blame a U.S. trade embargo for hurting the Cuban economy and spurring anti-government protesters in the country. In Nigeria, kidnappers who raided a boarding school in northern region earlier this month released 28 children, while another 81 students remain in captivity. The first batch of 28 children was released 2 days after the raid. The attack on the Bethel Baptist High School in the state of Kaduna was the 10th mass school kidnapping since December in northwest Nigeria, carried out by Islamist terrorists and more recently criminal gangs. Kaduna authorities had ordered the closure of the school and 12 others in the area following the kidnapping, without saying when they may reopen. Schools have become targets for mass kidnappings for ransom in northern Nigeria by armed groups. And now it's time to tell you all about Life Prime, which is the softer side of hard news. Well, an unusually large meteor briefly lit up southern Norway on Sunday, creating a spectacular sound and light display as it rumbled across the sky. According to Norwegian Meteor Network, the meteor traveled at 15 to 20 kilometers per second and lit up the night sky for about 5 to 6 seconds. The Norwegian Meteor Network, meanwhile, is analyzing data to try to pinpoint the meteor's origin and destination. Meanwhile, there were no immediate reports of injuries or any damage. UNESCO added Madrid's historic Paseo del Prado, Boulevard and Retiro Park to its list of World Heritage Sites on Sunday. The tree-lined Paseo del Prado, the center of Spanish capital, is home to the Prado Museum, while Retiro Park, just off the Paseo del Prado, is one of the city's most visited attractions. El Retiro, or the Retreat, an urban green space with a boating lake enjoyed by both locals and tourists, was originally a palace and gardens built for the personal use of King Philip VI in the 17th century. The Paseo del Prado was one of the first boulevards inside the city limits of all European cities and capitals, where all citizens, without distinction of class, could enjoy leisure and a stroll. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez was quick to celebrate the news, tweeting, "Deserved recognition for a space in the capital that enhances our historic, artistic and cultural legacy." And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of Midday Prime. But for all the latest, do stay tuned to DD India. And of course, in the meantime, all the time, just mask up, stay safe, social distance, and when your turn comes, do get vaccinated.